Welcome to the Prince Mays Uni YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Now, as I said yesterday in this 101 class, hi, my name is Prince. I am Professor Prince at Prince Mays University. I got to make sure I speak up. The last video, wasn't as loud as I needed it to be. So I'm projecting a little more, okay? Okay. So, in all pure professor form and fashion, I'm changing up the syllabus as I see fit. Don't worry, education will remain intact. This is actually better for you. So I was going to do his video, Minority Mindset, and today and tomorrow. It's going to be broken down a little further than that. So the name of this video is 4 Steps to Financial Freedom by Minority Mindset. Now, the first phase of this was have a plan for your money. So in this video, he discusses one within, it's like 4 parts. This is 1A of his whole breakdown for your plan of your money. It says, calculate what's coming and what's going. So he says your income should go into account, and your account should pay, and from your account you pay expenses, and then also investing, saving, giving, etc. But if you don't know what you're paying, if you don't know what's coming in and out, you're struggling. The basic journey, the basic path for wealth or any survival, really, any normal basic 101, which is class 101. This is Wealth 101. Yes, Wealth 101. And side tangent, in my university, in my courses, as a professor, you will have to know what wealth is. And to me, wealth is health. And to me, health is more than just, mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual. It is professional. It is financial. It is personal. So it's all levels of life. That's health. If you're truly healthy in those areas, you'll be truly healthy and you'll be truly wealthy. And that's the key. And that's all. And it's a lifestyle that you'll be able to pass on and teach. And whether they take it or not, the student, that's up to you. But the basics of financial education or literacy is a budget. You have to know what you're bringing in and what's going out. And not only what's going out, where's it going to? We'll do more specific videos on that, but I'm trying to zone in on this incredible video, and he broke it down he was so good at it. This is why when people break things down so perfectly, you refer to that and just, have a dialogue on it. So next was number 2, was a bank. And he says, which I agree with, direct deposits are better than cashing checks because you don't have to pay check cashing fees. For the most part, he discussed having two very basics within banking, which is having a checkings account, which is where you typically spend your money, where your expenses and investing and giving and etc. comes out of, and then your savings. He discussed savings are usually, you don't touch as often. They sometimes have higher interest rates, but due to fluctuation with the Fed's interest rate right now, it's kind of lower than it typically would be. But typically, savings accounts interest rates are higher than regular just checking. But if it depends on your bank, some banks are trash, like First National Bank. My savings account there, which I no longer have, was like 0.02 or 3. It was literally like pennies on the dollar. So it wasn't worth it. So he says you should have a savings account for big purchases and emergency funds. A tip from him, have 2 different savings. One for emergency, which is like, I say 3 to 6 months. For me, I would look, it depends on your situation, honestly. 3 to 6 months covers most people, but I remember getting a pandemic. A lot of people would have went through that real fast with 3 to 6 months. So you would want to do better, closer to a year. Especially the more people you have to father of 6 here, 3 to 6 months with no other income is not ideal. But anyway, that's for later on. You should have one for your emergency fund and then one for big purchases. So let's say your emergency fund, like you're not done with it. Let's say you're continuously building on it. You're currently at $4,000 and you have $10,000. Let's say you want to buy a house. Those are numbers you want to use in 2 different accounts. And typically, online saving accounts are higher yield than physical banks. Like if you have a PNC, a Huntington, a First National Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Oh, look at that pit stain. This is old. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But when you're dealing with an online bank, they don't have to pay tellers. They don't have to pay physical spaces for rent and whatnot. So typically they can afford you that higher yield interest rate. And if it's maddening to me because if you go back some decades, savings account had like 27% yield. Like what? Give me that. Facts. But that's neither here nor there. It's just a random fact. Professor style. That's what I'm giving. Oh, and also he wanted you to be aware of monthly fees. Also at First National Bank, I had monthly fees just for having an account. Garbage. And some will have certain what's the word? Rules, regulation, guidelines. That's not none of those words what the word I want to use. But like I know a PNC, they do have a maintenance fee if you don't have a certain amount coming in and out of the account. Well, particularly coming into the account. But as long as you hit that threshold, what's coming in, you won't get charged maintenance fees for just having your money sit there. It's really a scam because banks make money from that money anyway. So like they make money from your money sitting there, and then on top of that, it's just ludicrous. So find your bank, look at all the statements and all the policies and guidelines for that. And then going to his third part for his have a plan for your money, debt. So think of this as like layers. So first you have to have a plan for your money. For having a plan for your money, you need to calculate what's coming in and out, aka a budget. And then you need to make sure you're banking well, banking smart. And if you're not, look into other things. The bank your parents use or the bank you're familiar with, the banks around town. There are other things out there. Just got to look for them. There are some decent banks out there. And then third level is debt. So credit cards, home loans, high interest debts. That's what you want to be attacking. So like with your budget, looking at, your budget, you ultimately want to have enough to cover your expenses. You want to have enough to cover like just you existing as a person. And then after that, you want to have some sort of savings. And then you want to do other stuff. So your debt comes in after that. So let's say you have 50% of your account going to, I don't want to use numbers. I don't want to confuse you. This is one-on-one. And this is syllabus week. So we're just doing this light. But essentially you want to have your finances covering whatever you have coming in, covering your expenses to live. Then you want to have enough money to have some savings, building up your emergency fund. And then once you have an emergency fund, then you can build up like, I want a house, I want a car, etc., etc. Then you want to start attacking your debt. And he was talking about particularly credit cards, home loans, and like other high interest debts, because those high interest debts will eat your excess money up. And they can only get bigger as time goes on. They negatively compound against you. So what that means is the longer you go without paying them, the more you have to pay in the long run. So he's saying extra money after expenses and savings go here. And he said, these are his words, you should not have Netflix, you should not go on vacations, and you should not be dining out if you have any high interest debts. Whoo, that's a bar. But I mean, again, I just want to say he is a lawyer. He was an accountant. He's way more qualified than I. He is better with money than I. I will just say, well, actually, we'll get to that later on because he does address certain debt. So he's just saying, got all the extra fancy stuff. If you have high interest debts, that's just putting yourself in a hole. You won't build wealth that way, which makes sense. I agree with that. So level 4, this is invest. So once you have your budget, once you have your regular expenses covered, your savings, you're paying off debt, then what do? Guess what? You can invest. So he said, set aside cash, separate from savings and, debt, obviously. And then you got to figure out what's your risk tolerance. And he broke this down this way. You can pay your debt, which is a guaranteed return on your money because you're saving however high the interest rate is a year. So if your loan is like 3% a year, if you pay it off early, you're saving yourself however much per year on interest. So that is the lowest risk that he mentioned. Then if you want to invest, it's ETF, which is not a specific stock. It's like it could be as wide as the entire stock market. It could be as specific as only tech stocks. It could be as specific as only like food. But it's it's safer than an individual stock because you're getting pieces of a lot of different stocks. And then that's like moderately, that's a little higher up on the risk. And then it's individual stocks / real estate. And he said, lower risk, low return, higher risk, high return. Makes sense. The riskier it is, the higher chance you are profit of that. And if you do too little, like I don't know how many people became, from poverty to billionaires from bonds, which is like that. That's another topic. This is professor style. But I wanted to break down what he mentioned on stocks versus real estate and why he had them at the same tier. They're very similar in return in regards of, if you buy stock, let's say you bought $50,000 worth of stock today. With time, that stock, if you pick wisely, that stock could be worth more in the future. So you sell it and you get all the, gains from that. It's like buying a $50,000 house. You buy it, the property value goes up, and you sell it, and you reap all the benefits of that, gains. But there's also, that's like shorter term. Long term is you buy and hold. And with stocks, typically that you're getting the valuation gain from just time growing and it being a better company and it lasting longer. So you get that appreciation. And then on top of that, a lot of stocks pay dividends, which is like the company, how I look at it is the company paying you interest for owning the stock. So like anywhere between it varies, but like anywhere between 1% and 3% is good. So like 1 to 3% of what you have in the stock will be paid to you throughout the year per share. So like let's say you own stock Z and it's worth $10 a share, and they pay 10. This is exaggeration. So it's worth $10 a share, and they pay you 10%. So you're like, okay, the more stocks you own, you just multiply that out, and then like that's how you can look at that as passive income that you're like, especially if it's like a company that you love that you're gonna use as long as you live, and you ride by it and they last and they make decisions. That's passive income. Just like a property. If I buy a $50,000 house, it's going to go up in value. And then I get to be like, oh, my net worth goes up. And then also, I'm getting rent because I'm renting it out because I'm not living there. And that's what you want to look for when making any type of purchase and investing. And of course, there's like the short-term investing and the flips. But the way I think, and how I am emotionally, I would prefer the longer game, which is like buy and hold. It's just, why not? Free money. Okay. Also, he also has a free ebook that's including, I don't think it's in the description and in that little eye thing in the video. It'll be linked down below. Well, not the book, but the old video, And then the next step was spending. So once you've got a budget at a good bank, saving, paying off debt, you start investing, spending. What are you actually spending your money on? This is, I would say the first three, like the budgeting, the banking, and the debt were like beginner. Investing in this part was a bit more intermediate, depending on your level. But to me, this is more intermediate. Because how he put it is, what are you spending on? You're spending your money on assets or liabilities. Asset is something that brings money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Referring to Rich Dad Poor Dad, when he said your house is a liability, if you're only solely living in your house and it's not an investment property, you don't plan on moving out and getting a tenant in there, it's a liability. True. That was groundbreaking knowledge 20 years ago, but today it seems pretty simple. So he said to build wealth, you need more assets than liabilities. He said stop financing cars, clothes, etc. So like stores, credit cards are trash. They're usually not as well financed as like a banks or financial institutes. Credit cards are literally just set up so that you can buy money, buy stuff, whatever, rack up the interest, and they profit off of that too. He said rule of 5. Now this is something I've never heard of. If you can't buy 5, don't buy it. How many people wouldn't buy anything right now? I mean, although I've had my my moments, and this is where I'm going to stop this, but I just want to go over some of that stuff real quick. He has more, and I think that continues at intermediate stuff, but I just want to go over this few. It's already been like almost 20 minutes, but just speaking on spending, I don't think it's bad to look cute, but you can look affordable and cute. I come from my history of Tangent Time, Professor Tangent Time. I come from a history of being super cheap. And this is like something that I did not realize. I've been learning about money since 2016. It's 2021 now. That's a slow process, especially when they don't teach you stuff in school. You don't learn a lot of this stuff even in real life. You kind of just follow habits that you hear, practices that you've heard of. But it wasn't until last year I was listening to Market Mondays, I believe. I believe it was Market Mondays with the Budgetnista. It was either that or Earn Your Leisure with Budgetnista. It's a podcast, same people, different podcast. But she was talking to a viewer or someone, and she was like, the person thought they had a spending problem, and the Budgetnista was like, you don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem. And when I heard that, I was like it was a revelation within me, because I would literally wear the raggediest of clothes, not take care of myself, look far from presentable, just the cheapest that I could find, I went for it. And then when I heard that, I was like, oh, so it's not that I spend too much, is that I don't make enough to spend. Oh, so that's something he didn't touch on that I want to touch on. If you're not in a position where you're bringing enough income to live off of, and what I mean live off of, I'm not talking about flexing for people that really don't care what you have, but I mean able to feed, clothe, save, pay off debt, like manage your money, be a good steward of your money. What are you doing? You're doing yourself a disservice, and I feel bad for those who are in position who really can't do that. I feel for you. I understand your pain, but see if you can do side hustle. See if you bring extra income and see if you get a promotion. There's things that people say you can do, but for me, that was a revelation that like you don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem, you have an earning problem, you don't have enough coming in. It's not that you shouldn't be able to buy the deodorant you feel is best for your body, or you shouldn't buy the food that you think is best for your body and your health, but it's like you can't afford to because of the position you're in. And that's terrible. And that just hit me hard. And I think that's when I started taking work more seriously, because just at the skill set I've developed at my job, I've had opportunities that I've turned down, and I just had to sit back and think like, okay, if this job could pay me to live a lifestyle that could take care of myself, my family, and help me build wealth, why wouldn't I do that? That's not, forget anything else, that's a disservice to me. forget my ego, forget all this other stuff. That's a disservice to me. And whether it's this job or another job, like, you have to find yourself. You have to find the best route for yourself and go from there, make smart decisions. And this was a very good video for me because it was easy content. Minority Mindset is one of my favorite channels on finances, and I like the double entendre, the name Minority Mindset, because it is minorities doing this, but they call themselves Minorities Mindset because the mindset on finances is the minority versus the majority. Like a lot of things they say, not commonplace. And they're a very great platform to learn fundamentals and advance. He gets into more advanced stuff further into the video, but I stopped about 18 minutes in to just, this is where I want to stop. This is my breaking point, and this is where I was like, okay, let me just digest and talk about this stuff. This was pretty meaty. This is where I like to end this discussion of class. Was that the bell? Why y'all getting up? Why y'all backing up? Where you going? The bell does not dismiss you. I just know this is college, man. This is college. This ain't high school. Man, I do this for fun. We got about 5 more minutes in class. I just want to thank you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate the opportunity for doing this. He has a lot of good stuff that I think benefits you if you're single and young, if you're single and older, if you're married and old, if you're married and younger. Like, there's a lot of stuff in his content that's free, that's advisable, because he is a licensed professional, multiple ways of looking at a licensed professional. And it's just appreciative, and it's in a way that I can digest it and share it with you, because it may not be as digestible, because this is 22 minutes long at this point, and I've only discussed 18 minutes of his content. But overview and everything, make sure you have a plan for your money. He made this video because a lot of people don't know what to do once they make enough money. Even if you don't even make enough money, if you're like struggling, you need to know what is coming in and coming out. Also, I'm going to leave you guys another tip. If you get a new card, or, like your card expires, they send you a new one and all that, if you're getting charged for things you're not paying for, you can have them turn off that, for that merchant. You can be like, hey, turn off auto renew for all turn that off. Let me select who I'm renewing and who I'm not. Because I was getting charged for things I haven't used in years, and I kept disputing it, and I was like, I'm just going to get a new card. And that was the easiest thing I could have done. But yeah, stick tuned. This is we'll have another video tomorrow. Thank you. This was April 13th, Tuesday, April 13th. I will see you tomorrow. Bring pencils and something to write on, because some of y'all coming with nothing, and some of y'all coming with just Post-its and nothing to write with. What are you doing? Come on now. Yes, I've seen this. This is real facts. I've seen someone do this in class. Thank you. My name is Professor Prince Mays. Welcome to Prince Mays University. This is 101 on health, which is wealth. Thank you. Have a blessed day.